It has been 50 years. You joined the Grateful Dead when you were 18 years old.
18, I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
And I joined the Grateful Dead. Jerry called me after I saw him play about 2 weeks later. After he played in this little club, and he asked me to play in a band. I wasn't in a band. I said, yeah.
It was really fun watching both of you guys last night. I was up sort of a high on the side, and I got a perspective I never get, and particularly with two drummers, because two drummers is relatively unusual in rock bands. There's something going on between you in every show. How would you describe what that is?
I'm wondering, were you trying to tell a true story about the myth of this all, or what was it?
Well, whether myths can be true or not, in that light, I was trying to tell my story about the way I saw it, because being a member of the band, you get a really good vision. You're in the middle of the things. You're in the thick of it, right? Mm-hmm.
It's been 5 days since the notification hit our phones and the world stopped spinning. January 10th, 2026. If you're watching this, you know exactly where you were. Maybe you were scrolling Twitter, maybe you were stuck in traffic, or maybe you were one of the lucky ones who actually made it to Golden Gate Park back in August, thinking, he looks tired, but he's Bobby, he's invincible. We all wanted to believe that. We wanted to believe the short shorts, the gray ponytail, and that weird angular rhythm guitar would outlast us all. But then the statement dropped.
We were gonna get together and kick some songs around tomorrow.
You were.
But it doesn't seem to be at this point. I don't see it. Because we just don't have enough to put a band together right now.
Yeah. Well, not the three of us. I mean, we'd have to have other musicians join us, and we have some favorite musicians,
Bob Weir, gone. And immediately, the floodgates open. You saw it. The internet didn't just mourn, it melted down. Within hours, we had heartfelt posts from John Mayer, who looked like he'd lost a father. We saw Mickey Hart posting that picture of them from the Egypt '78 trip. We saw tributes from everyone, from Phish to Dylan, from the dedicated archivists on Reddit to kids who only discovered Althea on TikTok last week. But amid all that noise, the endless reposting of Ripple lyrics and NFA hashtags, there was this gaping, screaming void, a silence so loud it actually started to make people uncomfortable. Bill Kreutzmann, for 5 agonizing days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Well, tell me that from being in the band, at the start. Mm-hmm. What was it about at the start?
A love of music, a desire to play music. And these guys, all of us at the very beginning, Pigpen and Phil, Jerry, Bobby, and myself, we're just really gung-ho wanting to play. And that's how you feel about it. Every day, any way you had a chance to play music, you got together and played.
The man who built the rhythm of the Grateful Dead alongside Bob said nothing, not a word. No PR statement, no black square on Instagram. And look, if you know the history of this band, you know that wasn't an accident. Bill isn't Mickey, he isn't Phil. He's the guy who wears his heart on his sleeve, the guy who throws drumsticks when the tempo drags, the guy who never learned how to fake a smile for the cameras.
It was also and became part of a scene. I mean, you guys were at the forefront of a real scene.
Well, the scene was happening. It started with Bill Graham and the Mime Troupe. He had a big festival, not a festival rather, but a night show there with the Mime Troupe celebrating entertainers and actors and musicians and so forth.
The forum started spiraling. Is he okay? Is he bitter? Did they never fix it? We all knew things were bad when Bill walked away from Dead & Company in 2023. We knew the creative differences line was PR speak for something much uglier. But we thought, surely at the end, when the final curtain drops, they'd find that common ground again? Well, late last night, Bill finally broke the silence. And he didn't give us the Hallmark card tribute everyone was hoping for. He didn't give us Fare You Well, My Brother. He gave us 12 words. 12 words that I think just rewrote the entire history of the Grateful Dead.
I'll start. I'm sort of known in some circles as having developed my own style as a guitarist. I'm not a blazing lead guitarist. I can play a little bit, but really what I learned to do was I learned from listening to McCoy Tyner kick around John Coltrane.
Yeah.
Serving him up ideas and stuff like that to springboard off of. Mm-hmm. And Phil turned me on to John Coltrane.
The music stopped long ago. We were just pretending it hadn't. Today, we're not just talking about Bob Weir's passing. We need to talk about what those words actually mean. Because to understand why Bill stayed silent for 5 days, You have to understand the 60-year war for the soul of the Grateful Dead, a war that didn't end when Jerry died, and apparently didn't even end this week. This is the story of the brotherhood that broke, the rhythm that drifted, and the brutal truth about the long, strange trip. Let's strip away the mythology for a second. Forget the gods of rock narrative. Go back to 1963, Palo Alto. You've got a 16-year-old Bob Weir, dyslexic, adopted, kicked out of boarding schools, looking for somewhere to belong. And you've got Bill Kreutzmann, quiet, intense, a drummer who didn't want to keep time. He wanted to fight it. When they started the Warlocks, the dynamic was set in stone before they played a single note.
Which was really unusual then. I mean,
There wasn't hardly any bands doing it.
Yeah.
We did a lot of different things that we changed drum sets. We first started out with maybe one rack tom or two rack toms. Pretty soon we're putting up drums everywhere. They just grew, dead babies. And,
what was it that you liked in the sound?
The sound of the different drum.
No, having two drummers, and what was you like?
Oh, it was the mass of it, the absolute power, and two people are tracking each other or playing polyrhythms. Yeah. That was the most important thing. We could split the band in half. Half would go with Bill, half would go with me. And then we had all this going, and then we would wind up somehow magically together at the end, and it became...
Jerry Garcia was the sun they all orbited. Phil Lesh was the alien intelligence, bringing in avant-garde classical theory. Pigpen was the soul. And Bill and Bob, they were the engine room. But they were trying to run the engine on two different types of fuel. Bill was pure instinct. He was jazz chops mixed with R&B muscle. He wanted the beat to swing, to move, to be fluid. Bob was weird, and I mean that with total respect. He wasn't playing rhythm guitar like anyone else on earth. He was playing between the beats, while Bill was trying to drive the bus forward.
that was the goal, to end at the same moment.
A musical epiphany.
How about the 11?
Yeah, all these odd times we were playing that would not...
It's 11 bars of something and so many bars of another, and you have to really hold your stuff, right, to have it work out properly.
Right.
So you come out together at the end after that many... It's long.
You guys have been playing this music for 50 years, and now you're in sort of another formation of, the same catalog, slightly different group of guys.
Bob was throwing musical hurdles in the road, strange inversions, suspended chords, cutting against the grain. For a long time it worked. The tension was the magic. That friction between Bill's rolling thunder and Bob's jagged comping is what gave the Dead that falling down the stairs but landing on your feet sound. But here's the thing people forget. They tried to fire Bob. The band is living at 710 Ashbury. They're getting huge. And Bill, along with Phil, decides Bob isn't pulling his weight. They literally fired him, called him the kid, told him he was holding them back. Imagine being 21 years old, and the only family you've ever really known tells you, you're not good enough. Most people would have quit. Bob Weir didn't. He just came back. He fought his way back in. But you have to wonder, does that scar ever really heal? When you look across the stage at the drummer who voted you out, do you ever fully trust him again? Bill has talked about this in his book Deal. He admitted they were young and arrogant, but that dynamic, Bill is the truth teller, and Bob is the little brother trying to prove himself. It never went away. It just changed shape. Fast forward to the 80s. The Dead aren't a band anymore. They're a corporation. They're selling out stadiums. But on stage, a new war is brewing. The tempo wars.
Phil was a classical musician. He read music.
Yeah.
And he was a real musician. He really knew music. I think maybe more than any of us.
Well, when he was playing, he was visualizing the music that he was playing and the music that we were all playing in color, in notes, on a staff and all that kind of stuff, just sort of in a free flow kind of visualization of...
If you were a Deadhead in the late 80s or 90s, you knew the rumor. Bob wanted things slow. He wanted to explore the space, stretch out the phrasing, turn songs like Friend of the Devil or Shakedown Street into these loping, sluggish beasts. Bill hated it. He wanted to play. He wanted the fire. There are stories confirmed by crew members of Bill literally screaming at Bob mid-show off mic, throwing drumsticks at his amp. You can find tapes on the archive right now where you hear the drums aggressively pushing the beat, trying to force the band to speed up, while Bob stubbornly drags it back. It wasn't just musical preference. It was philosophical. To Bill, the slowdown felt like aging. It felt like dying. It felt like they were losing the feral energy that made them the Grateful Dead.
And the music itself that you're talking about that started it all, people, a lot of people talk about this. You're hearing rock music, you're hearing folk music, you're hearing country music, you're hearing jazz, improv. What is it to you? What defines the Grateful Dead sound?
I love this word the best, freedom.
Freedom.
But also Dixieland music.
To Bob, the slowdown was maturity. It was precision. It was control. And there's the word that defines the rift: control. Bob Weir was obsessed with details. He was the guy checking the soundboards, the guy worrying about the set lists, the guy who eventually became the de facto manager when Jerry checked out into his addiction. Bill was the opposite. He was the chaos agent. He hated the business. He hated the set lists. He hated the rules. As long as Jerry was alive, he was the buffer. Jerry stood between them, the benevolent father figure who could look at Bill and smile, then look at Bob and nod, and somehow make it okay. But then, August 9th, 1995, Jerry dies. The buffer is gone, the father figure is gone, and suddenly you've got two men who have been annoying each other for 30 years, left alone in a room to figure out who owns the legacy. This is where Bill's quote hits hard. We were just pretending it hadn't. We had the other ones. We had the dead. We had further. Notice the pattern. They kept trying to put the pieces back together, but the fit was always awkward. In Further, Bill wasn't even there. It was Bob and Phil. In The Dead, 2009, they were all there, but the vibe was corporate. Then came 2015, Dead and Company. This was supposed to be the victory lap. John Mayer comes in, breathes new life into the guitar parts. The stadiums sell out again. A new generation of kids in tie-dye. For a few years, it looked like they had fixed it. The Billy and the Kids vibe was good. Bob seemed happy, but look closer at those tapes from 2019. The tempo wars were back. Mayer and Bob were locking in on these super slow, bluesy grooves. And you could see Bill physically struggling with it. He's a jazz drummer, folks. Playing a 4-minute ballad tempo for 12 minutes isn't just boring, it's physically exhausting. Then came the health issues. Bill started missing shows. Back pain, heart issues. Jay Lane, Bob's drummer from Wolf Bros, started subbing in more and more, and the fans started whispering, is Bill actually sick, or is he just sick of playing at 60 BPM? The breaking point was 2023, Playing in the Sand, the Lux Festival in Mexico. Fans paid thousands of dollars. They flew down there, and moments before the gig, the announcement drops. Bill is out, not just for the weekend, for good. Creative differences. That's what they said. After 58 years of brotherhood, it came down to a corporate press release about creative differences. Bill went his way with Billy and the Kids, playing fast, energetic, chaotic shows. Bob kept the Dead & Co machine rolling, polished, slow, and massive. They didn't speak publicly after that. Think about that tragedy. The two guys who started in the garage in Palo Alto, they spent the last 2 years of the band's existence not sharing a stage. Now we get to the part that hurts. We know now, because the family confirmed it this week, that Bob received his diagnosis in the summer of 2025. Pancreatic cancer. He kept it quiet. He didn't want the pity tour. He didn't want the last waltz energy where everyone is crying. He just wanted to play. Those final shows in Golden Gate Park back in August. Watching them back now, it's gut-wrenching. You can see he's thinner. You can see he's sitting down more. But the voice was strong. There's a moment in Days Between, which by the way has become the defining song of Bob's later years, where he sings when all we ever wanted was to learn and love and grow. He looked right at the camera. I swear to God, he knew. But here's the question everyone is asking. Did Bill know? Did Bob pick up the phone? Did he call Hawaii and say, hey man, I'm dying? Based on the silence of the last 5 days, based on that devastating 12-word quote, I don't think he did. Or if he did, it didn't fix the years of resentment. Bill's silence wasn't just grief, it was conflict. Imagine the complexity of mourning a man who was your brother, your business partner, and your rival. A man you loved, but a man you felt had hijacked the thing you built together. When Bill finally posted "The music stopped long ago," he wasn't dissing Bob. He was admitting that the connection, the telepathy they had in 1972, the brotherhood died with Jerry. Or maybe it died when the business took over. He's saying that for the last 30 years, they were just reenacting a memory. They were covering their own songs. And this brings us to the secret. I mentioned earlier that 2 weeks ago, Bob Weir dropped a bombshell that barely made headlines because everyone was too focused on the new year. In his final interview, recorded in December 2025 for a small archival podcast, Bob said something that changes how we view his entire career. The interviewer asked him about the burden of leading the band after Jerry died. Bob paused for a long time, and he said, I didn't lead it because I wanted to. I led it because if I didn't, the silence would have been too loud. Jerry told me once, if you stop playing, the demons catch up. I think I kept playing all these years just to keep Jerry's demons away from me. For decades, critics called Bob an egoist. They said he wanted the spotlight, but in the end, he admitted it was fear. Fear of the silence. Fear of the dream ending. Bill Kreutzmann didn't have that fear. Bill was okay with the silence. He moved to Hawaii. He went diving. He grew food. He was okay letting the Grateful Dead be a thing of the past. Bob couldn't let it go. He carried that weight on his back until his spine literally gave out. And maybe that's why Bill stayed silent this week. Maybe he realized for the first time that Bob wasn't fighting him all these years. Bob was fighting the silence. So where does this leave us? The Grateful Dead is finally officially over. The core four is broken. Jerry is gone. Bob is gone. Phil and Bill are the last witnesses. Bill's refusal to post a generic RIP is the most Grateful Dead thing he could have done. It's honest. It's raw. It's not commercial. He waited until he could say something true. The music stopped long ago. It hurts to hear. We want to believe the music never stops. We want to believe the vibe at the Sphere or the vibe at Pitt's was the same as the vibe at the Fillmore East. But Bill is telling us, it's okay to let it go. It's okay to admit that the magic was a moment in time, and you can't keep photocopying magic forever. Bob Weir died fighting to keep that photocopy alive for us. He gave his life to the road. He died a hero of the counterculture, even if he became the establishment to do it. Bill Kreutzmann is alive, sitting in Hawaii, listening to the waves, and he's the only one brave enough to say, it's finished. I want to know what you guys think. Was Bill's statement disrespectful, or was it the ultimate sign of respect to tell the truth when everyone else is offering platitudes? And for those of you who saw the final tour in 2025, did you sense it was the end? Let's talk about it in the comments. And do me a favor, put on Europe 72 tonight. Turn it up loud, because the music might have stopped for them, but it doesn't have to stop for us. This is Celeb Spotlight. Stay grateful.